And we are back. Hero Power, episode 51. Ready to rock and roll.
Got our new past the hump, boys.
That's right. We've got our new intro there with all of our past awesome guests that we've had. And we are excited about moving on, seeing what the future holds, and doing it with y'all.
Matt at Arms isn't even waiting. Like he is pointing to the elephant in the room, saying, "I can't wait for the brawl discussion."
We got to get there first.
Yeah, we'll get there. All right, guys. I am your host.
I'm wearing my Salt Life hat.
I'm your host, Avantes, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Zeroshio.
That's right.
And Mr. Salty Versika.
For the record, I can't wait for the brawl discussion either.
All right, well, before we get to the brawl discussion, Versika, you need to tell us a little bit about Viforce.
All right, so we've been talking about Christmas for a while now, but did you guys realize that it's just 66 days away? You have just 66 days until your kids are waking you up to go downstairs to see what they got. Well, what do you have? You know, it's time to upgrade the machines, guys. Let's face it, if you're not rocking all of these Blizzard games on at least high graphics, then you're due for an upgrade. FiveForceGaming.com, pick out your machine, customize it. They got 6 months, same as cash financing. Time to do some Christmas shopping. And we'll talk more about that as we move from audio to video.
All right, guys. No emails or iTunes reviews this week. Zeroshio may be beardless next week.
Oh, no.
But we'll have to wait and see.
The next Versika is Pat. Yeah, great. I like those guys' comment there. You know, actually, we were supposed to have an email this week, but our contact page wasn't up, and so he sent an email to me, and I sent him our email address. So we'll have one for next week.
Awesome. All right.
I know it's coming.
Good. All right, guys. We had talked. I want to touch real quick on. I want to recap a little bit of what we talked about last week, guys. If you are on the fence about being a patron, we have a special thing coming just for our patrons. It's the Hero Power Invitational Hearthstone Tournament. It's going to be open to patrons only, and it'll start in January, and we're going to have cash prizes, guys. So if you're interested or you're excited about playing some competitive Hearthstone, or even if you don't even have to be competitive, you could be casual and just come and have fun. There's always the chance. You never know how the RNG is going to go. So come join us. We'd love to have you. For more information, you can check out our patron page at patreon.com/heropower.
And the cash prize on that is based on our total patron donations that we get. So the more patrons we have, the more patronage we have, the higher our prizes will be each tournament.
Absolutely. So tell your friends, tell your family, get them all to sign up. All right, guys, let's get into the news, because apparently
we have news.
Apparently, everybody's all excited about ShifterCon Tavern Brawl, so we'll get to that in a minute. All right. First up, the North America Last Call was this past weekend. And as we had talked about a couple episodes ago, it was going to be the last chance for Muzzy, Noblord, BBGunGun, Nostum, Frozen, Silent Storm, Chess Dude, and Neobility to make their mark going to BlizzCon. BlizzCon. Going to BlizzCon.
Know what's on your mind.
Yeah, well, I'm already thinking about DreamHack, but you know. Anyway, so Versika, I know you watched a good portion of this event. Tell us your thoughts.
It was pretty much as I expected, except for Silent Storm. Wait, was it? Actually, now I'm getting them mixed up. Silent Storm or Frozen? I think it was Silent Storm who brought the anti-warrior lineup, the anti-control warrior lineup.
He
Frozen.
Dragon Warrior.
Wasn't it?
Well, no. He brought Cthulhu Warrior.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, so that deck list surprised me. and I was really anxious to watch it played, and I think his strategy backfired on him. Is Frozen. Yeah,
Okay.
That's who I wanted to say right off the bat, and then I kind of mixed myself up.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got
so
backwards.
I was looking at it, and I was just like, wow. So he is banking everything on everybody bringing Control Warrior and beating it, and that's one of the strategies to move through Conquest. Other than that, I didn't see a lot of decks that were highly customized. I didn't see any really super interesting tech. I thought BBGunGun played a really great day of Hearthstone. I was surprised to I was really surprised that he hasn't won something before, because you always hear people talk about him and point to him as a practice partner or someone that's really helped him out or whatever. So I was really happy to see him win it, because I think that he's been a force with competitive Hearthstone for a time, and he just kind of stepped out of the shadows a little bit. So now we know what he looks like. Now we know what he sounds like. And if you haven't got a chance to play him yet, which I have actually played him on the ladder, and he whipped me thoroughly. So, you get a chance to see him play, and he is a Hearthstone pro that I can get behind. So I was excited to watch him play.
Okay. Zero, thoughts?
Yeah, and I want to just kind of touch on what Versika mentioned about BBGunGun. BBGunGun has been one of the premier practice partners for all the Asian American players in North America, mainly up in the New England area. I know Chess Dude is part of that group, but there's a bunch of them. And even Eloise has practiced with BBGunGun. She's actually given a lot of her accolades, accomplishments, credit to BBGunGun. He just has always been that practice partner, that trainer, but never really stepped into the competitive Hearthstone scene. He's done a lot of ladder play and always got a lot of points, but he never went to a lot of these invitationals. Well, he decided this year was his year. He did a little bit at the end of last year, and he just did really good. One funny story, though, is I was watching one of his matches, and I needed to help my wife in the kitchen with dinner, and I told her and she knows Hearthstone enough to keep track of things, and I said, pay attention to this match. He was playing Mage, and I went in, I came back, and the match was over. I said, who won? She says, Barbecue. I said, Barbecue? She goes, yeah, the barbecue guy. What? She goes, the Mage player. BBGunGun. She goes, well, it looked like barbecue to me. So that's my funny BBGunGun story. But I'm really excited to see him at BlizzCon. He brings he brings good solid decks, but he makes some innovative plays with commonly played decks. He makes some very odd plays that you really wouldn't think of right off the bat. And then you realize 2 or 3 turns down the way that he was planning for something he thought of ahead. He just is very analytical, and I can't wait to see him at BlizzCon.
Okay, cool. Well, I think I had said, I was originally pulling for Muzzy, and then when I saw Frozen was up against Silent Storm, I immediately started pulling for Frozen. And they both got knocked out there in the first round, but I'm glad to see BBGunGun take the championship, and I look forward to seeing him play at... Gosh, actually, I look forward to seeing him play here in about 7 days.
The 26th.
Yeah, that kind of moves us into our next topic, is that BlizzCon has released their eSports schedule, and the Hearthstone World Championship group stages will actually begin at noon Eastern on Wednesday, October 26th. So
next Wednesday.
Yep, a week from today.
So that'll definitely be a VOD.
Yeah.
But I think some people don't like the way that they formatted this, and I guess if you've got BlizzCon tickets, you probably don't like the way that this is playing out. But from a strictly consumer standpoint, I'm not having to choose between watching the tournament and then watching one of the panels. where they're talking about something that I might want to hear about. I think that this is a good balance. So,
well, they pretty much had to do this because, and if you look at the schedule, we'll have links in the show notes. They're starting all of the preliminary rounds of all the esports, 5 different games. We have Overwatch, Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, World of Warcraft Arenas, and StarCraft, all going on at BlizzCon. And they're starting those rounds Wednesday the 26th, and they will go through the 30th. And then they will
the 31st.
The 31st. Sorry, the 31st, and then they will pick up the
quarterfinals, pretty much
quarterfinals or semifinals or grand finals, depending on which one you're watching. Starting BlizzCon on the 4th. So they pretty much had to do this, or the entire BlizzCon would be nothing but esports.
So Versika was saying, he wasn't going to have to choose. Well, unfortunately, he is, because the Hearthstone World Championship quarterfinals start at 12:15 Pacific on Friday of BlizzCon. That's also the same time as the Hearthstone What's Next panel, where we are probably going to get our first look at the next expansion. So
it's just so jam-packed.
That is correct. That is why they make VODs. So, and Nozgad, to answer your question, is yes, we are all pretty much going to be watching online.
All right, I've already got my my BlizzCon virtual ticket, and I have some friends over at Legend of the Innkeeper that will be on the ground at BlizzCon, sending tweets and updates as they're there, as well as I have my. I went ahead and got the goodie bag box, and it should be in the mail here in the next week.
Yeah, so Espo, we totally expect group text to be heading out. I mean, these two blow up my phone on a daily basis. I'll get off work and I'll have like 31 texts in this group text thing. So I expect
on a slow day
that includes the LOTI group and us to be like 64 texts long by the time I get off work.
Yeah, so we will definitely have a lot to talk about. All right, so moving on to, I guess, what everybody's wanting to talk about. So ShiftCon Tavern Brawl, man. Let's not that Tavern Brawl. That's the Tavern Brawl you're talking about, right, Matt?
That.
Okay.
Tavern Brawl this week is ShiftCon. Yeah, swap stories with fellow shifters at the Tavern Shifter Convention. Choose a class. We'll fill your deck with shifters and spells. This is a recap of another Tavern Brawl that was done before. Mm-hmm. I like this one. It was fun. Easy wins. All right, what's next?
All right, so apparently Blizzard decided to drop a bomb on the Hearthstone community this week, and I believe that bomb pretty much settled in the middle of the community and then split.
Yes.
So we're talking about Heroic Tavern Brawl. Now, if you're not familiar with the concept, Heroic Tavern Brawl is going to be it's going to replace the regular Tavern Brawl for 1 week. So you'll have Wednesday to Sunday to do it. It's 1,000 gold entry fee or $9.99 cold hard cash.
US dollars.
US dollars. And basically, you go in and you will create a standard deck from your existing card pool and lock it in. Because once you've started a Heroic Brawl match, no changes can be made to your deck once you've locked it in. So if you're thinking about doing this, make sure you test your deck and finalize it before you start. Okay, so once you've locked in your deck for the brawl, you'll be pitted against other Heroic Brawlers in battle. Just like in Arena, you're going to try to shoot for 12 wins to get the best rewards. If you get 3 losses, just like Arena, you're done. Now, that said, and I think our friends over at Legend of the Innkeeper said it best last night during their show, this is not for the faint of heart. This is not for people who are just getting into Hearthstone. This is for people who are looking for that competitive rush. They want to get in there and they want something a little more hardcore than, okay, I just spent 150 gold to get into this arena run. So, like we said, there's been a lot of divisive polarization. That's a good word. There's been a lot of polarization about this since they announced it. Now, I actually have been in, since this was announced on Monday, I've been in probably 40 or 50 conversations with the Hearthstone community about this. And I want to read just a few. I'm not going to name any names, but I want to read a few of the comments that have been brought up about this. So, Player A says, I think this is really cool. The only problem is new players will probably stay away, and it'll keep them from having their regular brawl that gives them a pack. Other than that downside, this is really awesome. Player B says, this looks like this could be this week's brawl, and it feels like Blizzard's dipping their toes into a tournament mode. My hope is this gets moved to the arena menu, and we have an option for constructed versus draft arenas. Player C says, I'm ecstatic about this. The only thing I'm worried about is the barrier to entry. So, moving on, okay, this is a good one. Player D states, this is really exciting, and to be honest, I always figured an actual tournament mode would be money buy-in only. Making this open to those with gold makes it much more accessible. Really hoping they keep bringing this back as the meta changes, or make it an alternate switch on the Tavern Ball screen. That way, adventurers split up regular and heroic encounters. Best case would be to make this a whole new mode, but it seems a safe way to test it. So, really, I've been seeing a lot of people for it, and then you get to the flip side, and it says, the risk is too rich. I'd be the player that goes 0-3, and I'd hate to waste my hard-earned 1,000 gold. Another player says, the cost to entry is just too high. Another guy says, this feels like a waste to me at $10, because even if I go 3-3, I'm not getting my money back. And if you look at the average arena player usually does about 3-3 or 4-3 or 5-3. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a below average arena player.
3 or 4 wins is about.
Thanks for bringing that up. Thanks for rubbing that in.
Glad I could help.
You're taking my salt and rubbing it in my wound.
Oh, hang on. I have something for that. There we go. Okay, so
here comes the salt.
Now, with all of that said, your top 1% of players, your pro players, your competitive players, are all kind of on this is really exciting for Hearthstone. This is something new that hasn't been done before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with all of that said, let's get into the discussions. Because last night on Legend of the Innkeeper, if you guys didn't listen to that show, I highly recommend getting last night's episode. I believe it's entitled...
113.
What is it? 113? Episode 113. Go listen to that show. If you need to, you can skip to about the 25-minute mark where they start talking about Tavern Brawl. Espo lets the spider monkeys fly, and it's a great conversation between Vastidius and Espo on the state of this mode for casual players. Versika.
Why you start with me? You know
okay.
It's going to be a conversation.
Okay, Zerotio.
That way.
Zerotio.
No, that way.
Yeah, Zerotio. Why don't you go ahead and tell us your thoughts on Heroic Tavern Brawl?
I think this will be good for the game. Now, I'm not 100% pro, meaning that this is the end-all, be-all. I love it. I think this is what's going to put Hearthstone on the map. And I'm not the whole other direction where I think it's horrible, or I'm not willing to put out the money. Now, a little bit of clarification is it's 1,000 gold or 10 US dollars, $9.99 US dollars a run, and you cannot do more than 5 runs. So the most you can do is 5,000 gold worth of runs. A lot of these pro players are saying they're going to be doing 5 runs. They're definitely doing it. They're excited. Then you have your more casual players that are saying they're not going to do any. It's not worth it. I'm probably going to do 1, maybe 2 runs and just see where I settle. I really want to see where I match up against players that are obviously in there to compete. Because if this was opened up and lowered, the price was lowered down to something maybe like 300 gold, everybody would try it. And then all the pro players would just dominate the field. And it wouldn't be fun for casual players, and it wouldn't be fun for pro players because they're all going to get very high wins without any real level of competition. I think the price barrier is perfect to promote players that really want to compete and actually put a large effort into the deck building and their plays. So this will be a competitive mode even for competitive players, which I think is what the game needs. Now, one of the most famous poker players, Daniel Negreanu, has been on a few different Hearthstone podcasts, and he brought up the idea of having a buy-in style tournament mode that is similar to like an arena or some kind of tournament mode that you would have a barrier of entry, gold or real money, and there would be prizes associated. Now the prizes, and I believe Avantis is going to go over these after we have our discussion a little more, are pretty, they seem pretty one-sided. And a lot of people think you either are going to go in and get 0 wins or you're going to go in and get 12 wins, and everything in the middle doesn't matter. If you actually do the math on the 1,000 gold, getting it about 5 wins, which is a little bit less than halfway there, gets you enough packs and enough gold and dust compensation to pretty much cover the 1,000 gold worth. So, and 5 wins is probably going to be a slightly above average win rate. And then as you do look at it, it dramatically increases when you get past 9 wins. And again, we'll show those in a little bit and talk a little bit more detail about that in a minute. But don't tell me that's what you got.
No, I do better than that.
I'm just surprised that he still knows what paper looks like.
For our audio listeners, he has held up a piece of paper with the chart. That's not going to cut it.
I'm prepared now. Yeah.
But I like this mode. I think it's worth not getting into Brawl for a week. I do think this is a precursor to some kind of mode or feature that they're going to be demonstrating or announcing at BlizzCon. I do know that they've said recently they were not currently working. What was they said? They were not actively working on a tournament mode. That could be because they had it finished and they weren't actively working on it. They were waiting for the Heroic Brawl to roll it out. I don't know. So I'm excited to see what this feature and this mode is going to do to the community and possibly change features in Hearthstone. Now, they could add a quest that week that said, say, spectate a Heroic Brawl run, a Heroic Brawl match, and you get a pack. That think
would be interesting.
Would appease the casual community, but I don't think their goal is to appease the casual community. I think this is to throw the competitive players a little bit of a bone and get their juices flowing, because competitive players have not really been enjoying the month-to-month grind in Hearthstone. They just go to tournaments and that's it.
Mm-hmm. All right, you ready, Versika?
I'm always ready.
Let's hear it.
Surprisingly, I'm fairly lukewarm on this, and the reason why I'm lukewarm, let me just go ahead and say that I see both sides of this argument, and I agree with the high points on both sides of this argument. I also agree with both sides of the argument's negative points, which puts me in that unique position of being right in the middle. So surprisingly, there's not a lot of salt. I know it's a little bit of false advertising, but no, and this really comes from three areas. Number one, you have to get competitive players excited about the game again. You have to start looking to draw in more sponsors. You have to get more people playing and getting excited about Hearthstone again. I think this helps excite. And I think a lot of people were saying like the top 1%. I don't agree with that number. I think it's really about the top 20% of Hearthstone players will be excited and really want to participate in this tournament. Because when you think about it, top 20% of Hearthstone players are probably looking somewhere over 10K gold sitting in the bank. I mean, they're waiting for the next expansion. I think the risk versus reward for those players who consistently get, I'm going to say rank 5 or above, consistently get rank 5 or above, you have a pretty decent shot of breaking even in this, especially if you're bringing a good meta deck. So I think for that upper 20%, this is a good test to see just how many people who are asking for tournament mode, and let's just be totally and completely honest about this. I have heard for the last year so much about people wanting tournament mode that I'm pretty, if I hear one more person start on a rant about tournament mode, I'm probably going to choke them. But
so let me tell you about this idea I've got for a tournament mode.
No,
You're next door. Be careful.
So, yeah, no joke. I know where you sleep. No, but seriously, people have been asking for tournament mode for a while, and when Blizzard puts on tournaments, they have advertisements. They have people who are sponsoring these tournaments. There is money that is made there, above and beyond what they're paying out. If you're asking for Blizzard to put a full-time tournament mode into this game and support it with full-time support, then you're going to have to pay to enter. I think actually giving a gold buy-in was very gracious. I fully expected tournament mode to have a $10 or greater charge depending on what the end prize was going to be and whether points were associated with it, so on and so forth. So for people asking for tournament mode, it's going to look a lot like this. It's really, from a financial standpoint, it's really the only way it can look. So I think this is to gauge, okay, so now you guys have been asking you've been asking for tournament mode, now we're going to put it out there. Are you really willing to put forth your end of the bargain? Are you really willing to put forth the effort to research the decks to go in? Are you really putting your risk for the chance for that reward? Because this is high risk, high reward. $50 if you're paying to get in. $50 for 5 shots at arguably one of the hardest to reach goals that has ever been set forth in Hearthstone. Avantes and I were talking yesterday about this, and the best arena players are averaging a little over 7 wins. This is going 12 wins, constructed format, against some of the best players in the world to get the prize, to get the glittering prizes at the end. Did you see what I did there?
I did.
So I see that side of the argument, and from a logical and fiscal standpoint, that makes sense.
So I want to call out. I want to call out in our chat, Nosgad. Nosgad says, "I'm very casual, but I'm going to do it." And then he says, "Nah, I'm gonna lose, but oh well. It lets me know what I need to do better." There's an old saying that I used to go by in the late 90s, early 2000s. To be the best of the best, you have to play with the best. I modified it a little bit, but
to be the man,
you gotta beat the man.
Okay, I know where I've heard you say this, so I know where you're going with this, and that's true. If you know that you're going to be competing against players that are on the high caliber in tournament scenes and on streams and in competitive scene, and it scares you and you're afraid of losing, then I would not invest this 1,000 gold. But if you are willing to put 1,000 gold down just to see how you match up and maybe, kind of grade yourself on what you might have done wrong or did right, then it's worth 1,000 gold just for the learning experience.
Okay, so this is part of where I'm going to disagree with both of you, and it's my biggest sticking point on this. It's really where I in the end, I am in the middle, but I do kind of fall on Espo's camp here. And this is a large barrier of entry for 80% of Hearthstone. In a true business model sense, it is a bad investment for the long run. Here's why. It's not the $10 and it's not the 1,000 gold. And I know a big deal is being made about that, but you can get that in 5 to 10 days of playing.
Mm-hmm.
At least for one shot in. What should have happened with this brawl is they should have taken the top meta deck for each class, and they should have put it in like that deck builder that we got with Whispers of the Old Gods. You pay your $10, you pay your 1,000 gold, and you pick from one of those 9 decks, and you all compete against each other in the level playing field. Because at that point, your cards aren't going to dictate who the better player is. Your counter strategy or your counter strategy or your counter to the counter to the counter to the aggro to the counter strategy isn't going to come into play. It is strictly player skill versus player skill RNG versus player skill RNG. That way, you let all of Hearthstone come in and play if they want to. If you're willing to pony up the 1,000 gold or you're willing to pony up the $10, it doesn't matter if you've been playing for a month or whether you've been playing for 3 years. You can get in and you're playing the exact same deck as Silent Storm or Frozen or Reynad or Strifecrow or Chess Dude, and you get in and then you truly get to match skill against these guys. Because the biggest barrier for me, the biggest barrier that I see for 80% of Hearthstone is Johnny down the street that's been playing for 5 months doesn't have a shot in Hades, no matter how much card experience he has of winning this brawl. He cannot compete with the deck list of someone that's been playing for the bulk of this year. There is absolutely 0% chance that this person comes in and even remotely breaks even. He doesn't have the cards. And I feel like that's where Espo's argument has a lot of traction and a lot of validity. Because if you're going to test a tournament mode and you're going to push it out there to where everyone can take advantage of it, then you need to find a way to make it accessible.
There's smoke coming out of Zeroshio's ears.
So in regular Zeroshio fashion, I am going to disagree and agree with you. So, I do not think that having this as a pre-constructed deck would be a solution. That would be a totally different. There would be a totally different set of pros and cons for that. And I think you'd have the community just as split. And I think the community would miss out on what this offers. However, I think a pre-constructed limited format would be great for like an arena where you go in, you pay a certain amount of gold, possibly even just the same as arena is now, 150, and you get a card pool of a specific class, maybe one you choose, and you will get the same card pool of anybody else that picks that class. And the other classes have specific card pools. And you know what they are. Maybe they change from season to season, week to week, month to month. So you can actually you study up on what cards your opponent might have if they pick a specific class. Maybe you get 45 cards and you have to build a 30-card deck. I think it would be a great format, but I don't think it would be a good replacement for what the Heroic Tavern Brawl is going to offer.
Okay, so now this is all going on the premise that this is a test for a tournament mode, right?
Well, that's
Yeah.
This is the premise that everyone's talking about, right?
It's been Tavern Brawl has been commonly
Just answer
used.
my question.
Yes. It's been commonly used to test out things.
Allow me to make my point here. So if this is a real test, would you not want the absolute most data that you can possibly get? Server load. How many people are legitimately interested? Is your barrier too steep? Is your reward at the end worth it? Do you not want to have those types of numbers so that you can make an educated decision as to whether or not to move forward with whether you're going to invest time and resources into doing something that could end up costing the game a lot more than it gives?
Yes, but you also want to make sure you're highlighting your target demographic for that test.
Okay, so once again, we have gone over, in this show, we have gone over what it would take to successfully run a tournament mode. The amount of resources, time, and energy that would be required to put this kind of feature in the game. So what would be the purpose then of offering a mode that you are going to have less? And I'm just going to go through this. You can almost go ahead and say that this is going to be factual. Mm-hmm. You are going to have less than 10% of your total population buy-in.
Well, and Matt at Arm brings up a great point on that. Is that may be what they're testing. They want to know what percentage of their active player base is willing to put in the 1,000 gold, and then on top of those that are willing to put in the 1,000 gold, how many do it more than once, twice, maybe do it 5 times, which is the max number.
How many people are willing to pay the $10 cash to get in, as opposed to the 1,000 gold? And
then the ones that paid $10 cash, were they sitting on 5,000, 10,000 gold and still pay the $10 cash, or did they have no gold and pay? I mean, so I think this offers just as much data. It just may not be the data that the current Hearthstone community thinks Blizzard should be fine.
And See Me No More in chat says a mode that not everyone plays is okay.
Oh,
I mean, Arena,
agree.
Not everyone plays. There are a lot of people that don't play Arena.
Mm-hmm. I don't play Arena, and I'm completely okay that the mode is in there. But what I'm going to say is that not everyone is so upset over Arena. Why are people not upset over Arena? Is because it offers a level playing field. Mm-hmm. You can't buy your win in Arena. Now, half of this mode that they're offering, half of this Heroic Tavern Brawl, actually, I'm going to say 75% of this Heroic Tavern Brawl is going to be completely and 100% based on your card pool.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So that automatically skews any type of data collection that you can have at this moment. It could be the biggest reason why there's not a tournament mode.
Mm-hmm. And it also may be why the barrier entry is 1,000 gold, because the people that are going to be good at this have the gold because they don't need to buy any more cards. Where the people that don't have the card collection, don't have the gold to buy in because they've been buying packs, they probably wouldn't get into this mode anyways.
Okay, so then I have to, and this is sort of the question that I've been waiting to ask. Why the reward that's out there then?
So let's look at the rewards, because we haven't talked about the reward system yet. So let's go ahead and look at the reward system, and then we'll come back to that. Is that good?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. It's going to make my final point.
Yeah. So if you go 0 and 3, you're guaranteed 1 pack. If you get 1 win, if you get 1 and 3, you get 2 packs. If you go 2 and 3, you get 3 packs. If you get 3 wins, you get 4 packs, 120 dust, and 120 gold. At 4 wins, you get 5 packs, 190 dust, 190 gold. Now, if you pay the $10 entry fee in cash, at 5 wins, you get 6 packs, plus 220 dust and 220 gold. That's the equivalent of 8 packs. In the shop, you get 7 packs for $9.99. So at 5 wins, if you pay the $10 entry fee, you break even. At 6 wins, you get 7 packs, 250 dust, and 250 gold.
I feel like that's the first level where if you're really going to invest the time and energy into this event, that to me is your break-even point.
I feel like that's the break-even point if you're getting in with gold.
Yeah, well, the way you do the math, the five wins is mathematically is a break-even point. The 6 wins is the feels good. That's where you feel like you have earned something in addition to.
Okay, so
if you break down the amount of gold and dust you get based on the average number of dust out of packs, it's right at about 1,000 gold.
Right, but no one's going to actually buy dust. So I feel like the dust argument is kind of nil.
It's the dust they say the average dust out of a pack is 135 dust.
But that's if your card collection is high.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, all right, so moving on. 7 wins get you 8 packs, 280 dust, 280 gold. 8 wins get you 9 packs, 310 dust, 310 gold. At 9 wins, it really ramps up. At 9 wins, you get 16 packs, plus 400 dust, 400 gold. Now, 10, 11, and 12 is really where you want to shoot for if you're doing this. Because at 10, you get 16 packs, 400 dust, 400 gold, and 1 golden random legendary. At 11, you get 16 packs, 480 dust, 480 gold, and 2 random legendaries. And then it gets just ridiculously silly. And at 12 wins, it jumps all the way up to 50 packs, plus 1,100 dust, plus 1,100 gold, and 3 golden legendaries. So, I mean, if you're looking at that, you're looking at 50 packs costs you $60 in the shop. The gold is good for another 10 packs, so that's another $13 or $14 in the shop. And, I don't know how you value a golden legendary. But, so Versika, you want to go back to making your point?
Okay, so before the show, for the hour before the show, I had 5 streamers up. These 5 streamers were all playing in the Legend rank. They're all probably going to be playing in this Heroic Tavern Brawl. Their win percentage combined was a little over 58%. Now, these are some of the best players in the world. Three of which were playing in this have placed in the top 12 in the HCT tournament at some point in time. So the average player in that 20% that I feel like is going to come in, the average player out of that 20%, not counting the 0.5% that are the professional level, I feel like their average win rate is going to be 3 to 4 wins.
Okay, now you were watching these streamers stream on the ladder, right?
Stream on the ladder, playing against each other. Pretty much.
I don't think you are going to see the same type of decks. You might see a lot of people play ladder decks on there, but you're going to learn very quickly that players are going to actually play like they're in a tournament where they're going to target their lineup to face certain things, put in tech cards, things you wouldn't normally see on the ladder. That because you are putting more thought into specific lineups you might be playing against, and your ins and outs, I think that win rate might be slightly higher than that.
But you also have to take into account what you are actually going to face in those ladder players, because you can overthink it and overtake your deck into something that isn't going to be as effective against a well-rounded, honest-to-goodness, general meta, high win percentage deck. If you overtech against something like a Secret Hunter, it's going to rail you. If you overtech against something like a Control Warrior, you're going to get throttled. So I think, and my final point is,
I'd say look at Frozen last week, who teched for Control and got throttled because of it.
And that was 4 decks that he played that protect against control. You only get to do one. So you only get to find one way to control that. So I think when you take all the information, you lay it out on the table, you step back, and you look at it logically, I don't think this is a test for tournament mode. I think this is an event, is a one-time thing, a lot like what they gave beginning players when they did the starter bundle. I think this is a thank you for being patient with us. We realize that some of our card choices and some of our nerfs may have been late coming. Thank you to this upper echelon of players. Here is something that you don't have to travel for. Here is something that you can sit in the comfort of your own home. This is something you can use to drive revenue on your streams. This is for you. This is your 1 week in the spotlight where we are saying thank you to these high-level players. Here's a Tavern Brawl just for you. Go and have fun. All the other Tavern Brawls are pretty much designed for casual players. This is a Tavern Brawl designed for the upper echelon of players.
I agree and disagree, naturally. I think this is a one-time event. I don't think you're going to see this exact format in a tournament mode. I think if this does become a tournament mode, because you won't be restricted to a number of runs, I think the barrier of entry is going to be lowered. I think the prizes are going to be lowered, and they're going to make it kind of scaled to the point that you could do run after run after run like Arena. I think the prize point and the barrier of entry is so high right now is because it is just a limited testing ground. They don't know if they're going to keep it, and if they don't, they want to at least have that the big carrot on a stick, so people can say, well, it was at least worth the try to get 3 golden legendaries and 1,100 golden dust and 50 packs. So I think this might be testing for a tournament mode. I hope so, because I would like to see a tournament mode. I would like to see a variation of tournament modes, not just constructed, but limited and all kinds of different tournaments, because I like to compete, but I don't always have the time.
Yeah.
From a standpoint also of this being a Tavern Brawl for the more competitive player, if you take the amount of people in Hearthstone, you divide it into percentages. So let's say that this is going to be geared for the top 20% of players in Hearthstone. That's 1 out of every 5 weeks that you could give a top-end heroic style brawl to the higher up players, giving 4 other weeks to the casual players. I think that's still a pretty fair trade-off in the grand scheme of things, because casual players are still getting 4 packs if they complete their Tavern Brawl during the weeks that they are. And then you have sort of like a off week for like a football team. You get a bye week where it's just a chance to rest up and maybe look at some of the new cards that you've got, get a chance to get out of Tavern Brawl and encourage them to get into casual mode, maybe try an arena or get on the ladder and maybe take some of those new cards and see how much further they can go, while the heavy competitive players get their 1 week out of every 5 where they go and just beat up on each other and go for the big prizes. And then over the course, as you get better, maybe you take a shot at those as a way to kind of gauge your skill level as you come up. So even at 1 out of every 5, I don't think it's too much if the casual players are still getting, the 4. And Tavern Brawl was designed to be more of a casual thing, to allow, it was given a pack a week to allow casual players to kind of catch up. So I don't know that it would be a huge detriment if, you had one of these every so often. You could even do it quarterly, and I think it would be okay.
Here's where I'm confused, and just thinking about
Make it quick. We need to move on.
Yeah, they didn't do it this week, but they said it's going to be before BlizzCon, which pretty much says next Wednesday, right?
Maybe. They just said soon.
If it's
Trademark.
not, well, Ben Bro did say it will be before BlizzCon.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not next Wednesday, it's not going to be the Wednesday before BlizzCon, because the streamers and stuff are going to be at BlizzCon.
Right.
But next Wednesday, when they want you to allow your streamers and competitive players to play this and the people to watch their streams, those will be going on the exact same time as the group stages for the Hearthstone Championship World Tour. So I think they're competing with themselves for the streaming market, and I don't know if that was a wise choice. Now, this could be because they said, this is the best time for us to do it before BlizzCon so that we can iron out any kinks and make an announcement at BlizzCon. So I think they wouldn't overlap the time frame. They just wait until after BlizzCon if it was just going to be a temporary thing.
All right. Any last rebuttal?
No, I think that the timing is confusing, and I also don't.
It should have been today.
Yeah, I don't think they expected the backlash that they got, which is why I think we got a repeat Tavern Brawl today. I fully expect that this should have come down today, and I think the amount of backlash that they've gotten from the casual side of the community has probably forced their hand, and they're just like, whoa, wait a second, maybe we didn't think this all the way through. I think it would be sad if that kept them from doing it, because when you let the mob rule when it comes to something like this, your game is bound to decline, even if for the first few times the mob rule ends up making positive changes. Eventually, it's going to lead you down a dark path, and you don't want to go that direction.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. So this week, our deck is based off of one of BBGunGun's that he brought to the last call. It was his DiscoLock. And, this DiscoLock is a deck you're going to probably see a lot of on the ladder right now because it's really popular in the meta.
Saw a lot of it today. I saw people playing it in the teens, and then I saw Legends playing it as well. Mm-hmm. So it's literally all over
the place. So,
and this is a refined list.
This is a very refined list. So I'm going to run over the list, and we're going to talk about it briefly, and then we'll move into our play portion. So the deck list contains 1 Abusive Sergeant, 2 Flame Imps, 2 Malkazar's Imp, 2 Possessed Villagers, 1 Power Overwhelming, 2 Soulfires, 2 Voidwalkers, 1 Young Priestess, 1 Crazed Alchemist, 2 Dark Peddlers, 2 Darkshire Librarians, 2 Dire Wolf Alphas, 1 Knife Juggler, 2 Darkshire Councilmen, 2 Imp Gang Boss, 2 Silverware Golem, 1 Defender of Argus, and 2 Doom Guards. So, now, have both of you guys had a chance to play this deck list?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk real quick. What are the highlights of this deck, and what do you guys feel are its biggest drawbacks? Zeroshio, we'll start with you.
It's very fast. I was kind of really surprised by how quick it went, expecting it to be a little slower, to have to discard and get the right stuff. But you really want to mulligan for your early 1-drops. And pretty much, if you have 2 1-drops in your hand and a coin, you're going to drop them both out. You just want to flood the board as quick as possible and then keep the pressure on using some of the discard cards. The double Soulfire in here was... I've played a version with 2 Power Overwhelmings and 1 Soulfire. The double Soulfire puts a lot of pressure. Usually those Soulfires will go face or clear a taunt, and a lot of times you'll get a Silverware Golem out of it.
All right, Rasika?
Like Zeroshio said, this is a fast deck, and I'm not a big fan of mindless aggro. I wasn't a super big fan of the Zoolock that has been on the ladder for a while now, but I really like this deck, and I think from an aggro standpoint, it's a thinking man's aggro deck. Lots of decisions have to be made. If you make the wrong decision, you're punished for it. This is the style of aggro that I would like to see more in Hearthstone. I feel like this kind of aggro is good for the game. So I really think that if you want to become a great aggro player, that you build this deck and you practice you practice with this deck. I think the learning curve is going to be steep once you hit above rank 10 and you run into consistently solid players. You're going to run into a more refined meta. Up until you get into rank 10, I would even say you could drop Young Priestess and Crazed Alchemist for something a little more aggressive and probably not be punished for it. But once you get rank 10, you better put those cards back in, because Crazed Alchemist is going to take care of those Doomsayers. And believe it or not, Young Priestess, when I first started looking at it, I thought this was going to be a card that I would take out and replace with something else. And it actually has come in very handy quite often, especially against Druids. It's very good at placing things out of swipe range just when a Druid really wants to reestablish the board with a swipe. It makes for some hard decisions for your opponents too. So I think it's a solid thinking man's aggro deck.
Okay. One thing I want to point out is the reason you want to flood the board with this deck is not necessarily to get the board pressure. A lot of zoos run across the same problem. You get rid of the main threat, and you can handle all the little ping damage. The problem is when you have the board filled with a Knife Juggler, a Councilman, and a Malchezaar Zimp, they don't know what to remove. They don't know what's in your hand. They don't know how you're going to kill them, and they're kind of grasping at straws. Well, the Councilman could give me the most damage because it's going to get beefed up. And then next thing you know, you get a bunch of juggles. Oh, the Juggler's going to throw more damage. All of a sudden, you throw out Crazed Alchemist and flip your Councilman so he has top heavy power, and then you go to face. It just, there are so many swing cards that synergize with multiple cards. If you have 3 or 4 options on the board, the sky's the limit. You're going to win.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we did get we did get a message this week from a listener who has been a long-time listener / viewer of the show. So for those of you who are audio listeners who have not watched one of our shows all the way through in the video format, at the end of the show, we usually do Last Thoughts, where we talk about all the stuff that we talked about recently. Well, he was telling me and us that he doesn't always get to watch the show, and the Last Thoughts are one of his favorite parts, and wanted to know if we could do Last Thoughts at the end of the audio. Well, we love hearing feedback from you guys about what you like and what you don't like on the show. So, you want Last Thoughts at the end of the audio? Zeroshio, go.
One of my biggest thoughts I want to push this week is send us your thoughts about the Heroic Tavern Brawl. We want to know what you think as listeners of Hero Power about the new Heroic Tavern Brawl. So please go to HeroPowerHS.com, click on the Contact Us link.
I'll have it up tomorrow, I promise.
Fill out the form or email us at HeroPowerPodcast@gmail.com. Or you can even tweet us at HeroPower_cast. Tell us what you think about the Heroic Tavern Brawl, and we'll talk about it on the show next week, because presumably we believe that it should come out next Wednesday.
All right, Versika, last thoughts.
Okay, so I have 2 last thoughts. Number 1, you did not tell the whole truth, sir. We are giving you last thoughts at the end of the audio for the audio portion. If you tune in at the end of the video portion, we will also be giving last thoughts in the video portion as well. So it's like last thoughts part 1, last thoughts part 2. So make sure you tune in for the end of the video to watch that as well. All right, so my actual last thought for the end of the audio is twofold. Understand where you are as a player and where you need to improve. If you have not gotten to that point, it might not be a bad idea to get into this Heroic Tavern Brawl to see where you stand. The reason that I'm saying this is because not everybody has the time to ladder. If you want to know what it's like to play at rank 5 or higher, this Tavern Brawl is probably going to give you a taste of that. So if you really want to know where you line up, get in there and see, and then take it in a positive light. Get in there, see where your weaknesses are. Don't get down about it. Don't get down on yourself about it. And don't make excuses for yourself. Own your mistakes, own where you are and realize there's room to get better, and you just got all the data that you needed to set yourself on that path. So take it, put a positive spin on it, give it a try. You may surprise yourself one way or the other, and at least you will know where you are. So use that as the learning experience that it is. And there's many lessons in life, especially in competition, whether it had been swimming or martial arts or video games, where I would have loved to have been able to pay $10 and find out exactly where I stand. This is a really good opportunity if you think about it in that way.
This has been Deep Thoughts by Versika Handy.
Paying $10 to get your butt kicked teaches you how you got your butt kicked.
So real quick, when we were in, when I was in martial arts, the last thing you wanted to do was throw a green belt into a tournament circuit with a black belt. Why? Well, because the green belt doesn't have the skill set the black belt has. So you would think green belt's automatically going to get owned by the black belt, correct? Well, one of the reasons why in my particular martial arts school, we paired green belts up with black belts right off the bat is because the black belt knew enough to not get injured by the green belt. Do you know what ended up happening? A lot of our black belts got injured by green belts because green belts were throwing things at them that the black belts weren't used to seeing. You know, this kick, well, I know what this kick is, but man, that came at an odd angle. So this block that is perfect in form and function suddenly wasn't effective against a front kick that came up at a 78-degree angle instead of a 90-degree angle, slipped under that elbow and caught me right in the rib and then crunch. So, I mean, it can happen. You can catch lightning in a bottle.
Yeah. All right, guys. That's going to do it for the audio portion of the show this week. If you are joining us on Twitch or YouTube, please stay tuned for the live play portion of our show. If you are listening to the audio podcast, we'd like to thank you for joining us. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at HeroPower_cast. You can find all of our past episodes on YouTube at youtube.com/ECMMOGamers or on our website at HeroPowerHS.com. And if you are interested in participating in the Hero Power Hearthstone Invitational Tournament in 2017, you can find more information on it at by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/HeroPower. And as always, we'll see you all again next week.
And don't forget to use your hero power.
All right, Versika, while we're getting this set up, why don't you tell us a little more about Viforce?
Okay, so yesterday my wife and I, we were having this conversation about my aging stable of computers, and we were talking about whether I needed a laptop or a desktop. And I was just like, well, I would really love to have a Viforce machine, but my laptop has now become completely outdated and antiquated to the point that I can't even load Hearthstone on it now. So that's no bueno when you're traveling to go do tournaments. So she was just like, well, so what you're telling me is that you're going to need a laptop and you're eventually going to need a desktop. I was like, yeah, but I don't want to buy both in the same 24 months. She's just like, but if you're going to need them for what you do, why wouldn't you? Well, with Viforce, you can actually finance that for 6 months. So you can buy your laptop. I could buy my laptop now and finance my Viforce computer and pay on it as I go. It really makes sense. I started doing the math, and it's something that I'm really going to look into. These are the kind of options that are available to you. I can go on ViforceGaming.com. I can look at the computer that fits in my price range, and then I can see how I can customize it to meet my needs and make it the best value for me. So this is something that you can do when you're setting up your Christmas shopping list, which, reminder, is only 66 days away. Figure it out, spec it out, print it out, and then lay it on the counter, just like your wife might lay a jewelry magazine on a counter or something. Just kind of give you that hint, you know, just lay it out there and just. Women are pretty smart.
Drop a hint.
She can pick up on it. You might come downstairs on Christmas morning and have a big present waiting for you, and you open it up, and it's like being a kid again.
And it's Josh from Viforce in a box, ready to set up your computer. He'd do it
seriously. Go to HeroPowerHS.com, click on the Viforce link. That'll take you right to ViforceGaming.com, and get in there and see what they've got to offer. You won't be sorry.
All right. Zeroshio, you're driving tonight, right?
I sure am.
All right. Are you ready?
Yeah, I haven't done Warlock in a while.
Yeah. So let me know when you are
Queuing up now.
Okay.
Oh, I almost got messed up with somebody that's fiscally responsible. Oh.
So we got Shaman first up.
Okay, so our hand is Darkshire Librarian, Flame Imp, and Voidwalker. Because I have 2 1-drops, I'm tempted to ditch the Darkshire Librarian. Darkshire Librarian is very good mid-game. You really want it with the Malchezaar. Now, if one of those 2 1-drops was Malchezar's Imp, I would have definitely kept it.
What if one of those was Silverware Golem?
I would consider it as well.
Okay.
But I'm going to ditch the Darkshire Librarian. Now, if I had Darkshire Librarian and 2 non-1 cost, I probably would just keep the Darkshire Librarian, hoping to get Malchezar's Imp.
And
All
we
right,
draw
so this
into
isn't
Possessed
bad.
Villager.
Now, we're playing against a Shaman, so he's probably going to be pretty quick out the gate. I think I'm going to open with Flame Imp to contest a Tunnel Trog.
Okay.
I like that.
And if he does go ahead and coin out the Totem Golem, we'll just put the Voidwalker out there to block its path. Oh, he didn't do anything on turn 1.
No turn 1. So now do you Voidwalker and Imp, or do you Voidwalker and Villager, or do you Imp
I like
and Villager?
Voidwalker and Villager because it gives us some sustain on the board and a taunt, and we can save the Imp for when we have some discard cards.
Well, hold on just a second.
Okay.
So what about if you, because chances are pretty slim that this shaman's going to have healing. It might be better to go for the more aggressive play here because you don't know how much longer you're going to have the Imp.
Yeah.
So why not do a Possessed Villager Abusive Sergeant play, push a little bit of damage to the face, and force him to react to those 2?
We could do that. I like that.
Okay.
If he doesn't have anything on board, and if he does clear it with, say, a Rock Biter, that's still a lot of damage to his face.
Well, he could also clear it with a Maelstrom Portal, but that still leaves the Imp up, and it still leaves the Death Rattle Possessed Villager. So you still have pressure for the next turn, and he's only gotten the 1 drop from the...
Oh, that's great.
Argent Squire. That is good.
Wow, and he's... Wow, there's a lot. We can put a lot of pressure.
So Voidwalker, or tap, and then probably Voidwalker here?
Let's
what
tap.
I'm thinking.
Let's tap first. Oh, great. This is great. Let's go ahead and Voidwalker. This sets us up for a good... We're just going to go face?
Yeah.
We drew into the Doom Guard, so that's really going to set us up for a good discard turn with Malchezar's Imp. If we can keep Malchezar's Imp on the board a turn. And see, this is what I'm talking about. There's a lot of threats on the board, and if we get Malchezar's Imp out there, he's going to have to choose what he wants to clear.
So now, if he runs his 1/1 into our 1/3, and which I doubt he will, to bust the shield, what do you think about running? Oh, okay. So, what do you think about running the Abusive Sergeant in to bust his shield next turn?
I think that's valid. You want to keep the Possessed Villager's Death Rattle intact as long as possible, so that you're not giving him a chance to clear the board. He has to do a little extra. There's a Maelstrom. He was hoping for a Air Totem. He really was. Oh, wow. Ooh. You usually don't want Doomguard and Soulfire in your hand at the same time.
No.
I think we're going to run... Should we pop the Taunt Totem with the 3/1?
Well, what do you think about the 3/1 into the 0/2, the Shadow Fiend into the 1/1, and leave and then go face with the Go face with the Voidwalker and then drop the
Okay.
Imp.
We don't want to Soulfire. We don't want to risk the Doom Guard. So
Right,
if we're not
that's-
going to Soulfire, should we go ahead and tap first? See what we draw into.
Yeah, but I think we probably run the 2/1/1s into the O2 and push the damage from the Imp to the face.
Let's tap. See what we draw first. Oh,
Make him
Voidwalker.
react.
Now,
that
there we
changes.
go.
yeah.
I like that now,
now
that
you
we have a taunt.
Voidwalker Imp. Yep.
Yep. Voidwalker. So now he has 2 taunts to get through, and again he's having to choose what
Yeah.
to clear.
And next
This really,
turn,
this plays right into Lightning Storm.
it does.
It does, but it still is. We did the maximum amount of damage.
There it is.
Yep. Let's roll low. Low.
Nope.
Nope. He got what he needed. And this isn't really a great hand for an empty board. Well,
Ooh. Now, do we tap and wait one turn to play Imp into Doomguard? Do you think it's that important? Or should we
What
go
do you-
ahead and just Doomguard now?
what do you think, Rasika?
He's got a Hex. There's no way I'm Doom Guarding right now and throwing away the value that's in my hand.
Yeah.
I'd say
So-
you definitely tap first.
Okay.
I would just go ahead and play the Young Priestess and the Malkazar's Imp.
Because that's going to make it a 1/4.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. That'll make it a 1/4, and he's going to have to work to clear it. He's playing from behind, but he's not too far behind.
He's also got some cards he's not even touched. Like, he's not even moused over them, which tells me that it's something that he's not even considered.
Yeah.
That's almost, when you're playing Shaman, that is almost
Oh.
almost always going to be a Hex.
So since we drew a second Doom Guard, do we Soulfire first, knowing that we're still safe with the Doom Guard?
What do you go Soulfire? I mean, what's your value for Soulfire?
Do you Soulfire face, or do you Soulfire the O2 to get out of the way, kill the Murloc with the Imp? Uh-oh. Looks like we might have lost Zeroshio.
That's not good.
No. Oh. We'll see if we can get him back.
He's just going to have to Doom Guard. Okay, so we're basically shoutcasting this.
Yes.
All
Oh,
right.
he just said his computer crashed. So he may not
Oh,
be able to
that's not
reconnect
good.
to this match.
Yep. Okay, so Avantes, do you have this deck still created?
I do.
All right, so we'll just take over, and you will just have to you'll just have to take over from here.
Okay.
So I'm going to pop out of spectating.
Well, how do you pop out of spectating when they are... There we go, leave. Alright.
So you can play a game, and then if he gets back in and we can get him back on the call, then
Right, we'll switch
we'll let
back
him
over.
take over the next one. So what do you say we call that one just a DC, and
Yeah.
we'll call it a null?
Yep, sounds good.
All right.
Alright. So we've got a Druid. And our opening hand is Imp Gang Boss, Darkshire Librarian, Soulfire, and Direwolf Alpha.
You're not playing in Wild, are you?
I don't think so.
Your icon still showed up in Wild for me.
Oh,
You're
no.
not.
No, I'm not. Okay. All right, so what are we thinking we want to keep here? Should we throw back the Soulfire? Since we don't have...
right now we have nothing to synergize with this librarian.
Right.
So I think we've got the coin. So Imp Gang Boss is a really great turn 2 play against a Druid. So I say throw back the Darkshire Librarian and the Soulfire and keep the Alpha and the Imp Gang Boss.
All right. So, in turn, we draw the Darkshire Councilman and the Power Overwhelming. So now,
you know what? Actually,
turn 3.
Turn 2 Darkshire Councilman is pretty darn good.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We turn 2 Darkshire Councilman, turn 3 Imp Gang Boss. That's kind of the dream. What do you think about
No way.
No.
He'll just hero power it down.
Yeah.
He'll get a whole point of damage in.
Alright. Save her for later.
Yeah, for those of you who are listening in, we have lost Zeroshio. We're trying to get him back, so we're just going to continue to play. The show must go on. We're just, half my head.
Yeah, that's because of the way I screen grab in Skype to put these guys into their layouts. Alright, so he played a Sabertooth Panther on turn 2. So, are you still thinking we coin into Darkshire?
No, I think this changes things a little bit. I think you... I think you Void Walker Priestess.
Void Walker Priestess?
Yeah.
Okay. Makes it a 1/4. So he'll have to run his minion in and use his hero power if he wants to remove it. Oh, I think...
Let's see. Is he knocking to get in? I think I heard something like that.
Let's see if I can add him back.
Saw him pop up on the Skype.
Oh, so he played
Right.
Mark of Visage on his Sabertooth Panther, making it a 5/3.
I
Still
think-
going?
No, we started another one. We're gonna let you take back over after this game.
Okay, it'll take me a little bit.
Yeah, I had the deck built too, so...
I think
job.
here we probably tap and then coin out Dire Wolf Alpha and run the Priestess into the cat.
Okay. That's a solid play.
Yeah, don't like trading that much, but if you find yourself trading a lot with this deck, it's probably not doing well.
Alright, same thing. He's got another one. Only this one's a 5/4 this time. So what do you think about Darkshire Councilman Voidwalker this time?
I like that.
And we'll go 2 to the face.
Yeah.
He's playing Feral Rage, so he's going to probably kill the two. Nope. He's going to use his hero power to give him 5 to kill the Darkshire Councilman.
Yep.
Alright. So we could kill off his Saber-Tooth Panther with the Direwolf. But should we Dark Peddler first and see what we get? Because I mean, if we Dark Peddler and we get a Soulfire, we can play the Imp and then kill off the Panther and draw a card.
Yep. Yep. Go ahead. I think here we take the Possessed Villager.
I think so too.
Okay, so I think we tap.
Okay. Got our second Direwolf. Should we play the Flame Imp here?
Flame Imp, run the Alpha into the 5/2.
Yeah. Alright. And there is the 4/6.
Saw that coming.
Yep.
Alright, so I think here we tap. I think we go ahead and develop that Imp Gang boss.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and drop that, and then I think
Power overwhelming the Dark Peddler.
Dark Peddler, and take out the taunt.
Yeah.
And then from there, run the 3/2 to face.
Okay. And there's an Ancient of War. Okay, so we can Direwolf Alpha.
I'd still say tap.
Okay.
Tap first.
Alright, so that gives us Soulfire. So we've got both Imps in our hand, so we could drop both and draw 2 additional cards when we Soulfire this guy.
Yep, I think we drop both Imps.
Direwolf Alpha, Soulfire?
Direwolf Alpha in between the two of them. In between, yep. And then we Soulfire the...
Alright. And then we'd have to run both into clear.
Yep, go ahead and run both into clear.
Okay.
So here I say we drop the Abusive. Go ahead and put it on the Imp. I think we drop the Imp Gang boss. Now Soulfire the Savage Combatant.
Okay.
Good discard.
So we go face. Now we could actually play the Possessed Villager into the Librarian and get the Silverware Golem on the board.
No, because
No, because you will be
The board will be full. You're right.
Yeah. So I say here we go ahead and tap and get ready to do that next turn.
Should I play the Villager?
Go ahead.
All right. There's a swap. That's going to clear up some board space for us.
Second swipe. Nope.
Nope. Mounted Raptor into hero power. So that's actually good, because now we can knife Juggler into Darkshire Librarian.
Yep. So go ahead and knife Juggler. Librarian.
Well, should I Alchemist first? Because it's a 50-50 if I don't.
Well, we're going to Alchemist.
I could flip one of the imps and
Yeah,
then
go ahead and flip one of the imps.
6-7, yeah. Now, Librarian.
Ooh.
Perfect.
Now run the imp into that.
Yep.
Play the councilman.
Yep.
All right. And we are keeping board control.
Yeah. While you're very aggro-centric with this deck, you do want try to keep a tempo, not necessarily board control in its purest form, but you want to have better tempo than your opponent.
So 3, 4. We've got 9 damage. No, 10 damage on the board.
Yep.
It's not always best to trade 2 1/1s into a 3/2, but trading a 2/1 into a 3/2 is probably a good trade.
Yeah. So we're gonna
yes.
Flame Imp,
Doomguard.
Doomguard.
Wait, no. I was going to say tap before you
Oh.
councilman. Tap before you councilman.
Yeah. Get that extra point of damage in.
Yep.
All right, that puts him to 1. Let's see how he deals.
He doesn't want to deal.
No.
He's going to make us wait the 75 seconds
That's
to
right.
kill him.
My bet is he's a cell phone player and he just homed out.
That or he did like the streamers do and just got up and went to the bathroom.
Because he's not moused over anything.
Nah, he just rage quit.
Yeah.
He just walked away from his computer, told his mom to make some hot pockets.
That was brutal.
It's like,
Sorry.
Mom, this
Sorry.
guy's bullying me on the internet.
Totino's Pizza.
All right.
Well, that just means you get to BM him. So
Yeah.
defender. Wait, I was gonna say just defender like the strong side of the Doom.
Oh. Gotcha. Oh, my opponent left.
So far. Oh,
Your opponent left. Where did he go?
you missed your chance to BM.
I know.
I give you a 1 out of 10 stars, sir.
That's all right.
All right. So you're popping out, right?
Yeah. Zeroshio,
All right,
are you
Zero.
ready?
I am back in. Hope I don't think anything else will go wrong. We'll have to see.
Well, we're 1-0, which we decided while you were gone that your game wouldn't count.
That's
Well,
fair.
no, we're 1-0 and 1.
1-0 and
So-
1. Okay.
Yeah, it's a draw.
All right.
All right. All right, you ready for me?
Yep.
Okay. I had a Windows related
and Mr. Nasty in chat got a pack off of that win, so
Good job. Which reminds me, I need to find a friend that wants 80 gold. Do you guys know any friends that would want 80 gold after the show?
I can't imagine you'd have a hard time finding somebody who wants 80 gold.
I don't know. I only have 176 friends on my friends list. I usually have a hard time finding somebody that wants to play.
Okay, so this is going to be a hard go.
Yeah, so we've got Priest this time.
You really have to rush Priest. You need to be doing 4 to 5 damage a turn consistently.
So our opening hand is Dark Peddler, Imp Gang Boss, and Direwolf Alpha.
What do you think? I'm thinking pitch the Imp Gang Boss.
I'm thinking pitch the Alpha and keep the Dark
Alpha.
Peddler.
Yeah.
And
only keep the Peddler.
Look for some 1-drops.
Look for some 1-drops.
Imp Gang Boss is susceptible to Shadow Word Pain, so you're probably right there.
Yeah.
So we'll keep the Dark Peddler.
Yeah, I would say maybe if we had the coin for a turn 2 Imp Gang Boss, but
yeah, if we had the coin, I would keep Imp Gang Boss against Priest, but not.
Oh, there we go. Possessed Villager into Dark Peddler.
Yeah.
Into Darkshire Councilman.
Wow. Yeah. There we go. This is easy.
The curve is real.
The one thing about Priest is if you can get early boards on really early, they have a hard time dealing with them. But you need to do as much damage by turn 5 where Holy Nova is going to happen. And you want to put them in a board state that makes Holy Nova not the best option.
So instead of Peddler here, what do you think
You're
about...
going to have to Abusive.
Abusive,
Yeah.
So looks like Dragon Priest.
Yeah.
Problem is going to put down a 2/4 taunt next turn.
Yeah.
Right, but that's when we can Dark Peddler and hopefully get a Soulfire. Of course, I hate that Doomguard's in our hand, but...
Yeah. Well, hopefully we could get Power Overwhelming. Would be a better option.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to deal with this board this early, I don't think.
He can't deal with this board this early.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. A 2/4 is hitting the table. No. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe he's not running it.
Usually Netherspite Historians save for Brand Bronzebeard for a tempo play. Since we don't have an actual Possessed Villager, I don't like putting out Darkshire Councilman. What about Dark Peddler and see what we get first?
Yep. That's exactly what I was going to say.
We don't have enough spells to make Arcane Anomaly worth it.
No. Reliquary Seeker, if I get that out. I don't really like that play here either. So
no, because we're not going to get a full board.
No, I'd say
Voodoo Doctor is better than Reliquary.
Yeah. So
okay, we'll
the
take
best
the Voodoo.
of a bad selection.
Yeah, and then we'll Possess Villager right now.
Yeah.
Go face.
Go face.
Yep.
And the Voodoo Doctor might actually give us a clutch heal on a Darkshire Councilman or even Dark Peddler. I do like that we don't see a lot of taunts right now.
So there's the Soulfire.
Of course. We can make Darkshire Councilman a 3/5, but that will almost certainly draw out a Shadow Word Pain. So
I think if we just put it out, it'll draw a Shadow Word Pain. I think we Councilman run the 2/2 into the 1/2, heal the Peddler with the Voodoo Doctor because he'll be on turn 4, and then go face.
Okay.
You like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a really awkward turn for us. I don't think there is a very good option for us.
And I'm placing the Voodoo Doctor over here to kind of take advantage if we get the Direwolf Alpha to have some 4 damage minions next to each other. Or 3 damage minions next to each other. For the 2/1 and 2/2 to be 3/1 and 3/2.
Well, if he wants to clear the Darkshire Councilman without a Shadow Word Pain, he's got to use the
Holy
Technician.
Nova? Holy Nova. Oh, he coined.
Yeah. That's rough. I think now you have to pretty much run the Doom Guard in, don't you?
Well, if you do, it's just going to get pained.
But at least it draws a pain, a Soulfire.
Well, what about tapping and then Soulfire and run the 1/1 in.
No,
Increase our chances of not losing.
The reason why you go ahead and Doomguard here anyway is because if assume that they know your deck list, there isn't a great Entomb target in the deck besides Doomguard. So you want to go ahead and draw out the Shadow Word Pain because you don't want them to end up using Doomguard against you.
Yeah. So go ahead and Doomguard.
Yeah. Next turn, it's just going to the value is going to go way down.
Yeah. And he can't entomb it, of course, because he used a coin.
Right. If he wants to wait to entomb it, he's going to take another 5 damage from it, and he may be okay with that. But
yeah, it really is the best entomb target in the whole deck.
Yeah.
And now we tap like our life depends on it.
There we go. That basically just makes, if he's running 2 entombs, one of his entombs is just pretty much worthless.
So we're going to tap.
He's not going to get any real value out of it. Yeah, go ahead and tap.
The Void Walker is going to get traded, obviously. What do you think of Void Walker? Send the 1/1 in so he has to heal it. Well, he can't heal the Fairy Dragon anyway, so I guess
no, that's right. But then what that will keep him from doing is being able to heal it up with a global effect first. He would have to use a circle of healing, yeah.
Instead of healing it after he trades.
Right.
Okay, so go ahead and trade and then put both of those down?
Yeah.
You wonder if this Entomb is going to burn a hole in his pocket.
I just hope he's got both in his hand.
I hope so too. And as a priest player, what entombing? Okay, well, I'm not going to do it if you're going to Black-Green Corruptor. Black-Green Corruptor is the obvious play. This is an extremely bad matchup.
Yes,
yeah. It's by far the worst matchup.
So we just put them both out.
Yeah.
And
take our medicine.
Take our medicine. This is by far the worst matchup. Even Warrior is better matchup because it doesn't have as clean a removal. Warrior will at least have to rely on weapons and trades. Yeah, this is playing it out.
I was going to say, you're just playing it out.
Yeah.
Anytime you're hard casting a Silverware Golem, it's
not good. Day. Yeah.
Yep. If I was him, I'd honestly just go face here. Because he knows we don't want to trade, and his 8 damage is better than our 6.
Yeah.
But him being a priest player, he's going to trade. And when you're behind, we're probably going to go ahead and concede this now.
Yeah, there's no way you're getting through that taunt.
Nope.
No.
Not before the other 2 beat you down. I mean, there's literally nothing in this deck that you could have drawn.
Yeah, we going to try one more, or is that it?
I think that's good. We went 1-1-1.
Okay.
So,
1-1-1.
Our first ever DC.
That's right.
It is 51 episodes. We've never had a disconnect.
That's true.
I consider that a pretty good record.
I mean, we've had a disconnect of opinions.
Every episode.
The headshake. There's a headshake in the last hour.
All right, guys. So, last thoughts about the deck. Zeroshio, go.
I really like this deck. I'll be honest, I've had a hard time playing an aggro-centric deck because I've been focusing my entire month on playing control, so my mindset's not really been an aggro mind frame. Now, before we did the show, I did play 4 games with this and went 3-1, so that's pretty good, and it does pretty good on the ladder. Yeah, get out, try it. If you want fast games, it's definitely a deck to try.
Okay. Versika.
I do think this is a high-level deck, which is an odd place for aggro, in my opinion. So I like that. Like I said, you're punished if you misplay, but it also has a very subtle place too. Like in our first game, we were talking with chat, and one of the Max in chat said that he would have still played the Young Priestess on turn 1 just to force the Druid to have to decide. I guess that was game 2 when you were playing Avantes. That play is something that you just don't run into with a lot of other aggro decks, because Young Priestess is so key later in the matchup. You have to make that decision whether you want to sacrifice that. You want to sacrifice that late game option to help speed up that early game. And you're going to pay for that decision one way or the other. You just have to decide when you want to pay your piper. So I like that those decisions are present. If you want to get good at aggro and you want to get good at making tough decisions, this deck will get you accustomed to making tough decisions, because you literally have to make it almost every game.
All right, awesome. So guys, if you want to check out this deck list, it will be in the show notes on our website at heropowerhs.com, as are all deck lists for every deck we've ever played on the show, so you can go all the way back to number 1.
And real quick, if you want to see this deck played to perfection, the way it's supposed to be played, go back and check out the VOD of BBGunGun playing this deck this weekend, because he played it flawlessly.
Yes. All right, guys. That's going to do it for us this week. If you have any questions or comments about the show, please email us at heropowerpodcast@gmail.com. Do us a favor, please hit that subscribe button below on YouTube if you've not done so already, or give us a follow on Twitch to be alerted when we go live. And as we said earlier, for more details on the Hero Power Invitational Hearthstone Tournament, check out patreon.com/HeroPower. And as always, good gaming.
Bye, guys.